Hey guys, it's me Harsh and welcome back to my channel Baking Vibes. Today's video is a very special one because it took me so long to develop this proper eggless chocolate cake recipe. I remember making 4 cakes with 4 different methods and different ratios over and over again in just one day, but none of them came out perfect. But finally, one day I sat down, searched and researched all the recipes that were available and made down my own ratio and recipe. And finally, I have this beautiful eggless chocolate cake recipe which I am very happy to share with you. I hope you like this recipe, and if you do, then don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I post a new video. So let's get baking. Let's take a look at the ingredients. They will require 3 cups of all-purpose flour or maida, 1 and 1 cups of cocoa powder. I am using natural unsweetened, you can also use Dutch sauce, 1 and half teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 and a half teaspoon of salt. We will also require 3/4 cup of vegetable oil or sunflower oil, 3/4 cup of corn meal, 1 and a half cups of powdered sugar, and 1 and a half cups of plain milk. The first step towards making a cake batter is mixing in all our dry ingredients. So to the flour we will add in a cocoa powder, baking powder, baking soda, as well as our salt, and give it a quick whisk so that everything becomes well combined. So our next step is creaming. We will take our oil in a big mixing bowl, and to it we will add in a powdered sugar. You can also use caster sugar, there is no harm in using it. Now using a whisk, we will whisk everything until everything becomes pale in color and a little bit light as well as fluffy. After whisking it for about 5 minutes, this is the consistency that we want. Now to this we will add in our curd or yogurt. Make sure it is plain and not any flavored one. And now we will whisk it again for another 5 minutes. Now we have reached our final stage. In this stage, we will sift in our dry ingredients, alternating with our milk into our curd mixture and folding in with a spatula. It is very important to fold the things with a spatula because it will ensure that we do not overmix our batter. But don't worry if there are some lumps forms, because I have a solution for that too. After all, this is my perfect eggless chocolate cake recipe. How can I ever mess it up? Now at this point there might be some lumps in the batter, even I have them, but there is a solution for that too. Now we will use a whisk and whisk the batter for about 10 whisks or 10 strokes, and this will help us to get a smooth lump-free batter. Finally, we will finish it off with using a spatula and folding it once so that we ensure that there is no dry flour remaining at the bottom of the bowl. Now we will divide this cake batter into 3 4-inch cake pans or 6-inch cake pans. In my oven, only 2 can go at a time, so I will be baking 2 at one go and the other one later. But we will bake them at 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 30 minutes or until the skewer inserted comes out clean. Once the cakes have baked, give them plenty of time to cool and then level the tops using a serrated knife. Here on the cake turntable I have a plate, which I suggest you should use a plate at this point. Then keep a cake layer on top and pour a little bit of simple syrup on the cake, which will help us to keep the cakes moist. I personally believe that the chocolate ganache is the best frosting. So to layer these cakes, I am using some whipped chocolate ganache. For that you just have to make sure that your ganache is nice and chilled and then whip it using your hand blenders. So to learn how to make my chocolate ganache, you can click up on the eye. Now we will smooth out the ganache and then continue stacking our cakes in the same way until we have reached our final layer. We will apply some simple syrup on the final layer and then flip it upside down so that we get the flat side on the top. Now, using just a little bit of the whipped chocolate ganache, we will give this whole cake a crumb coat and then set it in the refrigerator for about 15 to 30 minutes or until it becomes hard or almost set. Once the chocolate ganache is nice and set, now we can add a final coat, which will again be of the whipped chocolate ganache. Now you might be wondering, why am I using whipped chocolate ganache and not just a regular chocolate ganache? Because at the end we will be making a glaze which will be actually chocolate ganache with just a little bit more of butter, but it won't be whipped, so it will be glossy while this is matte, so that will be a contrast to our cake. So now we will just give it a final coat, nice and smooth, and then we will move on to the next step. Make sure to chill your cakes for about 15 to 20 minutes after the final coat. You can see that here I have some setup going on. So here I have actually a very huge plate on which there is a 4-inch cake stand, and on that I have kept my inverted plate. Remember, I told you to use that. So you can also use a wire rack instead, but I found this easier at this point. So here I was talking about the melted chocolate ganache, which was glossy. So that will be a glaze, and we will just pour it all over the cake. Don't worry about smoothing out right now, but just make sure you cover almost all the bits and notches. Now using a small icing knife or a palette knife, we will just gently smooth out the tops and the sides of the melted chocolate ganache, and that will give us a very nice smooth finish. Well, you can't serve a cake like this, especially to a party or even for a birthday. It doesn't look that good, so we'll just clean up the sides and then transfer it to a cake stand. This thing is a bit tricky, but believe me, you may master it pretty quickly. So all you need is just 2 palette knives or 2 big icing spatulas. Slide them under your cake and then lift it off onto the cake stand. The work isn't done yet. We gently have to take out both of the palette knives so that our cake is resting on the cake stand without the support of our palette knives. This is wonderful as it is, but I'm just going to top it off with just some sprinkles. This is a mix of white, black and purple pearls. You can find these easily in the market. You can also use any of your color choice. I'm just topping off with some sprinkles that looks very beautiful. And that does it for my eggless chocolate cake. I assure you that this is the best eggless chocolate cake ever in this world. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, then don't forget to give it a big fat thumbs up, share it with your friends and families, and subscribe to my channel for more such wonderful recipes. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.